Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Chief Lee Burkaw of the Tampa Police Department. Today I'm joined by U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg for the Middle District of Florida, Special Agent in Charge David Walker of the FBI Tampa Field Office, and Richard Coase, Acting Special Agent in Charge of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Tampa Field Division. Today you will hear about some success stories of our combined efforts to reduce violent crime. Violent crime in any form negatively affects the quality of life for every person impacted. Every community member has the absolute right to feel safe in their homes and in their neighborhoods. Project Safe Neighborhoods was developed to bring key stakeholders together and to work to reduce crime together. To target some of the Project Safe Neighborhoods core principles, the Tampa Police Department increased outreach efforts, notably our violent crimes forums, so we could build on community relationships and shared solutions. We partnered with community-based organizations like Rise Up for Peace and Children with a Vision, allowing us to amplify the message that crime reduction is a shared vision and a common goal for all members of the community. We also decentralized our officers, allowing them to rapidly reinforce efforts in response to violent crime. The partnerships we have with our community, our U.S. Attorney's Office, the State Attorney's Office, the FBI, the ATF, and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office support our common goal of violent crime reduction in Tampa Bay. In fact, our crime gun detectives meet monthly with the U.S. Attorney's Office and the State Attorney's Office to review cases and determine the best courses of action to prosecute the most violent of offenders in the city of Tampa. These partnerships not only result in successful prosecutions like the ones you will hear about, but also reassure the community and send a clear message that the criminal element will be apprehended, arrested, prosecuted, should they decide to commit a crime in the city of Tampa. These joint efforts and our continued focus on crime reduction also resulted in violent crime with the firearm being down by 5% in 2022 and a 17% reduction in non-fatal shootings. I'm proud that the work of every Tampa police officer has led to these results. In fact, in 2022, we had an 18.9% increase in the number of guns seized, taken off the street. That number is approximately 243 more guns out of the hands than the year before. Our goal is to make every community member and resident and visitor alike feel safe in our city. These federal prosecutions are another way we are making that happen together. We can still use help from the community to make Tampa even safer. In 2022, we had 198 firearms stolen from unlocked vehicles. We ask that you keep your vehicles locked, and most importantly, keep your guns secure out of the hands of those who should not have them. Working alongside our federal, state, and local partners as we keeping our community engaged and informed, we continue to result in making Tampa safer together. It should be clear to anyone with the intention to commit crime in Tampa, especially a violent crime, that we will hold you accountable and you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Now I'd like to bring up U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg from the Middle District of Florida for some remarks.
Thank you, Chief Burkaw. I'm honored to be joined here today by two of my office's federal law enforcement partners, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so that our three agencies can jointly recognize the important work that was done last year on violent crime cases by the Tampa Police Department. The reduction of violent crime is a top priority of ATF, the FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office. Today, we want to take this opportunity to express our thanks to the Tampa Police Department and its federal task force officers for their tireless efforts and dedication in reducing violent crime in our community. This thanks is very well deserved. For many years, the Tampa Police Department has been an excellent partner in Project Safe Neighborhoods. Launched by the Department of Justice in 2001, Project Safe Neighborhoods is a nationwide initiative that brings together law enforcement officials, prosecutors, community leaders, and other stakeholders to identify the most pressing violent crime problems in a community and develop comprehensive solutions to address them. Project Safe Neighborhoods is built on several core principles: fostering trust and legitimacy in our communities, supporting community-based organizations that help prevent violence from occurring in the first place, setting focused and strategic enforcement priorities, and measuring the results of our efforts. Since its inception, Project Safe Neighborhoods has been a success in Tampa, due in large part to the excellent partnership and teamwork between the Tampa Police Department and its federal partners at ATF, FBI, and other federal agencies. This teamwork includes close collaboration between investigators and prosecutors. As you heard Chief Burkhaw say, on a regular basis, federal prosecutors from my office meet with the investigators with these three agencies, along with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office and our counterparts at the State Attorney's Office. The purpose of those meetings is to identify those individuals who are the drivers of violent crime. In most communities, the number of such individuals is rather low. By way of example, the National Network for Safe Communities has estimated that members of violent groups typically constitute less than 0.5% of a city's population, but that those individuals are typically involved in 60 to 70% of a city's shootings and homicides. Experience has shown that effective prosecution of those individuals can result in dramatic reductions in violent crime in a community. That is the approach that we employ here in Tampa. Working together, we start by using the best available information to focus our efforts narrowly on the most violent offenders. Once focused on those violent offenders, we use every statutory tool in our arsenal to dismantle violent groups. This is not a new approach in Tampa, but it is one that the United States Attorney's Office and our partners have been employing for several years. For example, in response to shootings in the Tampa Park public housing area several years ago, the Tampa Police Department and the FBI initiated an investigation into the gang that was operating there, known as the Bird Gang. Ultimately, over 25 gang members were federally prosecuted for firearms and drug trafficking violations, and they were convicted. In addition to dismantling the Bird Gang through those federal prosecutions, the gang's drug house was shut down through a condemnation action. These focused efforts were successful. For more than 18 months following the initiation of those federal prosecutions, there were no shootings in Tampa Park. It is because of successes like what was seen in Tampa Park that the Tampa Police Department is known as a leader in the design and implementation of violent crime prevention strategies. And 2022 was another successful year for the Tampa Police Department in federal court. In 2022, the Tampa Police Department, ATF, the FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office worked together to charge 91 defendants in federal court. In total, those prosecutions resulted in the removal of 74 guns from our streets. Those are impressive statistics, so let me repeat them again. The work of the Tampa Police Department resulted in 91 defendants being charged in federal court in 2022. Those prosecutions involved a variety of different federal charges: armed robberies, illegal firearm possession, drug trafficking. A few of those cases are highlighted in the press release that is being issued today, along with cases that resulted in guilty pleas, trial convictions, and sentencing in 2022. Let me mention two of them that illustrate the quality of work that's being done by these agencies in federal court. Over the course of a week, Thais Spike and Jeffrey Davis committed a series of armed commercial robberies. Prior to the robbery spree, Spike committed a carjacking to obtain the getaway car that the defendants would later use. During one robbery, Spike shot a victim who was hospitalized for 12 days but survived. The robbery spree ended with a high-speed chase, with the defendants crashing their getaway car before being apprehended. But those defendants are no longer able to endanger anyone in Tampa. Spike and Davis are now in federal prison. Their crimes led to them being federally indicted. They pleaded guilty and were sentenced. Spike was sentenced to more than 26 years in federal prison, and Davis was sentenced to 24 years. Javion Jacobs experienced a similar result. Jacobs committed 3 separate carjackings. In one of them, he kidnapped 2 victims, pistol whipping one of them. But that defendant is no longer able to endanger anyone in Tampa. Jacobs is now in federal prison. Jacobs' crimes led to him being federally indicted. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 21 years in federal prison. The cases that I've just summarized and that are set out in the press release that's being issued today, and the other press releases that my office issued last year, are just some of the cases investigated by the Tampa Police Department that are being prosecuted in federal court in Tampa. And more cases are coming. In 2022, the United States Attorney's Office in Tampa increased its number of Project Safe Neighborhoods cases by 22%. Federal task force officers from the Tampa Police Department are the investigators on many of those cases, and they are a big reason for this increase in violent crime and firearms prosecutions in federal court. Each of those federal task force officers is a skilled and dedicated investigator, and they've done an outstanding job on their cases in federal court. We look forward to more successes with them partnering together in 2023. The Justice Department's support for the people of Tampa is not limited to our partnership with the Tampa Police Department on federal prosecutions. In September of last year, the city of Tampa was selected as a recipient of a $1.5 million grant from the Justice Department's Community Violence Intervention and Prevention Initiative. Those funds will help to develop and expand the infrastructure needed to build a safer community and strengthen our neighborhoods here in Tampa. Planned uses of the funds include working with local community-based anti-violence organizations to provide services for violence prevention, creation of additional safe spaces and resources for underserved youth, and studying the effectiveness of the Tampa Police Department's crime reduction programs. By providing this $1.5 million in grant funding to the city of Tampa, the Justice Department has shown its commitment to investing in the violent crime reduction strategies and efforts being undertaken in this community. A review of the preliminary crime statistics reflects that these efforts are having an impact. Chief Perkaw has covered these statistics, but they're important and they bear repeating. In 2022, there was a decrease in several violent crime measures in Tampa as compared to 2021. Non-fatal shootings involving a firearm are down in Tampa, more than 17%. Violent crimes involving a firearm in Tampa are down, more than 5%. There are at least 2 important things to remember about this data. First, none of the agencies here today will be satisfied until the rate of violent crime is reduced to 0. Second, all of the agencies here today appreciate the great work that is being done on violent crime reduction by so many others, including government officials, community leaders, other community stakeholders, and every one of the other law enforcement agencies and prosecutors who work in Hillsborough County. Any reduction in violent crime that has occurred here in Tampa is the result of everyone's combined efforts. And it only will be by everyone working together will further reductions be possible. One of the leaders who has been focused on violent crime reduction is Chief Lee Burkaw. For many years, Chief Burkaw has been an excellent partner, not just to my office, but to every law enforcement agency that serves the Tampa area. Chief Burkaw is committed to public safety and protecting our community. Thank you, Chief Burkaw, for your leadership and partnership with us on Project Safe Neighborhoods. The 91 defendants who were federally charged last year due to the efforts of the Tampa Police Department, ATF, and FBI, they all had something in common. Each of them believed that they could commit violent crimes and federal offenses in Tampa and not be held accountable. As those defendants have now learned, they were wrong. Those defendants made a mistake that others have sometimes made over the years, which is that they underestimated the Tampa Police Department, ATF, FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office. They underestimated our determination to bring violent criminals to justice. They underestimated our partnership with each other and our willingness to work together to reduce crime. And they underestimated our commitment to protecting every member of our community from harm. Let this be a message to anyone who doubts our resolve. As demonstrated by the cases charged in federal court last year and all of the years before then, the Tampa Police Department, ATF, the FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office have a proven track record of success in partnering together on violent crime cases. As we start a new year, our agencies are committed to continuing to work together in 2023 and beyond to protect our community from those who seek to engage in violence. I want to again thank Chief Burkaw and the dedicated members of the Tampa Police Department for their partnership in these efforts. Your outstanding work has helped to protect our community and reduce violent crime. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to reiterate that after listening to that, if you were thinking of committing a violent crime in Tampa, you better think twice. You're going to get arrested, you're going to get prosecuted, and it's not just the Tampa Police Department. It's all of our local, state, and federal partners and the community. This is a team approach, and that's how we're making Tampa safer together. Any questions?
Chief, Project Safe Neighborhoods has been touted by you federally. However, residents who live specifically in West Tampa say, look, we've got shootings over and over and over again, and nothing is happening. In addition, we've got the shootings that happened in downtown last year, just a couple months ago, happened specifically along Franklin. What do you say to those people who live there who say, you say that this program is working, you say otherwise?
Well, again, our ultimate goal would be to have that number as zero violent crime, and that's why we're here. We're continuing our efforts. The statistics that we just showed and the partnerships is we are making that step forward, and we're making a difference. Have we impacted everyone? No, there is room to improve. And I think some of those things that we're doing are always improving and striving for zero violent crime. But just the fact that hearing what we've done and all the violent offenders that we've put away and prosecuted, with our joint effort, right there should rest assured that we're working forward and making a difference.
What do you say to those specifically in West Tampa? On December 4th, there was a murder along West Main Street.
Nobody wants a violent crime to happen, and we are a teamed effort between the community, the Tampa Police Department, and our local, state, and federal partners. So committing a crime in Tampa, you're not just facing the Tampa Police Department.
Still doesn't answer. What do you tell those residents out there who are still afraid? Businesses have closed because of this, because of these shootings.
We are actually out there. This is what today is. This is that message. They can see our efforts from this message and the results that we had. And again, we are striving for zero violent crime.
U.S. Attorney, are you able to characterize how often the recommended top charges that are referred to you from
So the question was, of the cases that the Tampa Police Department presents, what percentage do we actually end up bringing in federal court?
The top charges.
Well, so we don't keep the statistics in the way that you're talking about. What I can tell you is it's a really collaborative approach between all of the partners involved, and we have a close relationship with the state attorney's office. And part of what we do in these meetings that we've talked about is we talk about where would be the most, where would be the prosecution venue that would be most effective. But we don't keep them in terms of what you're talking about in terms of the top charges. Typically in federal court, if you are charged, you plead guilty to the top charge or you go to trial. And when you plead guilty, you have to plead guilty and say that you did it. There's no no-low pleas, there's no withheld adjudication. We're designed to try to do justice in the case and make sure that there's an adequate basis for all of our prosecutions, which is what the Tampa Police Department provides us.
I'm not sure which of you would be better to answer this, but when your investigators, your prosecutors talk with these defendants, are you able to find common threads about what leads them to the point where they're picking up guns and shooting at each other at a mall in Tampa, or committing armed robberies and burglaries? I mean, are you able to just kind of glean from all these suspects? I hate to say it, why this keeps happening, why you probably hold the same press conference next year?
Does one of the investigators want to handle that?
It's probably more of a question for I'll answer it.
Hello, Travis Moss. I'm the captain of Violent Crime Bureau for Tampa Police. One of the things that when we discuss with a lot of these defendants, a lot of the things that they talk about is basically they've got no positive role models in their life. They they struggle with education. They struggle with home life. They have a lot of issues that that kind of turns them to that life of crime. And unfortunately, that's kind of the common theme that we've seen. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. I'd love for them to have a different path and a different life they could lead. That's one of the reasons why we're excited about this this $1.5 million grant, because it focuses on focused deterrence, which is trying to provide that middle ground to, hey, there is a better path for you. You don't have to go down this road of violence and whatnot. So that's kind of the idea. We want to get to them before they make that decision to go, hey, it's better to pick up a gun and pull the trigger. I'm going to go get an education. I'm going to have positive, mental attitude and influence in my life and make something of myself versus going out there and just getting into shootings all the time. So that's kind of, to answer your question, that's kind of the common theme is they lack stability in their lives. When you let the streets raise your children, that's what happens. They grow up, unfortunately, especially in the last few years, they tend to go to violence.
We've seen a lot more shootings involving teens. What's people done to target these?
So we have a lot of constraints that we work with. We have left-right laterals in law enforcement. Our juvenile justice system, we can only do so much to juveniles. We deal with this. Juveniles can't be federally prosecuted is one of the things. Our federal partnerships, like you just heard, they do an incredible job of when we identify people, hey, this person is a violent offender, they need to be federally prosecuted. Our federal partners are really good at picking up that burden and running with it. When we deal with juveniles, we're seeing them as young as 13, 14 years old committing heinous, violent acts with firearms. There's only so much we can do within the system that we have to be able to do that. So my question would be back to the community is that's something that you need to talk to your legislatures. If you're upset about juveniles pulling triggers, there's only so much we can do. We can arrest them, but there's only so much prosecution that can be done. That's something that's going to have to deal with the legislature.
I'd also like to add in some of the technology that we're using and have Sergeant Jordan Russell come up and talk about that.
We just have you spell your name, please, sir.
MAUS.
I'm Sergeant Russell. I'm with the Gun Crime Intelligence Unit with the Tampa Police Department. One of the major tools that we use is our NIBIN program. NIBIN is essentially the key to linking our shootings of who's behind these shootings, what groups, and how we can target our efforts efficiently to the people that are actually pulling the guns or pulling the triggers on the guns.